um, where they can stop and get stuff, okay? The vast majority are local. Occasionally we would see somebody who was doing a section of it, and we would stop and talk, but it's clear there is some tourism that's involved when you have the long-distance cyclers. I don't know of anybody who's long-distance hiked it, and someone told me, I think it was Andy Beers, said he knows of someone who's run it, okay? But when you come up and just do a day trip, yes, you do try to stop and make use of the local businesses. And if anybody wants to know, I can tell you where the good ice cream places are.
Thanks for that input, Jane. I think for the future, we definitely want to see more sections and the partners that we have on the Empire State Trail come in and try to improve their trail. And we're seeing that, but we want to see more of it.
Cody had a question of have you been able to calibrate these counts with data from social media apps like Strava and Trailforks that also provide demographic and distance breakdowns of users?
No, we have strictly kept it to anecdotal evidence and then the counter information. But as we move forward and we develop our documents, our report every year, we're looking to add more information. So that's great info. I'll look more into that. Angela?
I won't take too much time, but just to say we should talk because Walkway Over the Hudson worked with some volunteer retirees from IBM to come up with a way to just ask people could just put in their zip code, or if they're from overseas, their postal code, and that was a way to track where people were coming from. They also used students, geography majors from local colleges to just go out on certain days with a clipboard. Same thing. What's your zip code?
Great input, Angela. Thank you. Anybody else? Questions, comments, input? Okay, so I'm going to move on. I'm not going to be too much longer here. I'm going to switch gears, as I like to say. So right here we have a picture of a group photo of our event that we hosted for the Ramble this year, Cycle Back in Time on the Albany-Hudson Electric Trail. So as I mentioned before, we're the managers of the 36-mile Albany-Hudson Electric Trail, and we run the Ramble, so what better idea than host an event on the Albany-Hudson Electric Trail? So that's exactly what we did. So the group photo you'll see is right in front of the North Chatham Trolley Depot. So to get into that a little bit. So it was a day of history and a day of cycling, a combination of the two. Started off with this idea. I've always said that I kind of really want to do a Ramble event, but what kind of Ramble event we're going to do. And as I mentioned before, doing it on NAHET was a great idea. And Dan was talking in my ear and really encouraging me to kind of move that forward. So once Andy Kitzman came in, I'm like, I'll throw that idea out there, and he absolutely loved that idea. So we moved forward with that idea. I got some input from my colleague, Andy Beers, because most people know Andy Beers knows a lot. He said to focus on the part of the trail that's, there's not a lot of on-road sections. So he said, maybe reach out to the North Chatham Historical Society and see if they'll let you and let the participants tour one of the surviving depots on the trolley line. So that's exactly what I did. I called the president of the Historical Society, Judith Albert. She was very excited to have us. She said that one of the members of the Historical Society lived next door to the building and that we could use that for extra parking. And then another member wanted to talk about the restoration of the building. So to give you a little bit of information and not talk too much about the depot because I could talk about it for a while, Dave, one of the gentlemen that was part of the restoration, the depot was obviously originally designed to be a depot for the trolley line. Then at one point there was a need for it to be restored to a fire station, believe it or not. Then in 2013 the Historical Society reverted it back to its original fame as a depot station again. So we got to hear how that actually happened, where the doors were for the fire trucks that went in there, what happened to them. Now there's just windows, and it's kind of unbelievable if you kind of think about it and see the structure of the building. So this was our inaugural trail ride on the Albany-Hudson Electric Trail, and we plan on hosting this next year. And it seems like there's a lot of support for us to host it next year. During the trip, we stopped in various locations, the village of Valatia. I spoke a little bit about Valatia and the community and the Valatia Kill and the mills and its history, and also its claim to fame, the 40th governor of New York State, Martin H. Glynn. I also talked to Niverville, which is a hamlet on Kinderhook Lake that splits between the town of Chatham and the town of Kinderhook, and talked about their claim to fame, Electric Park, which was the largest amusement park between Montreal and New York City at the time. It opened in 1901, a year after the trolley line opened, to boost ridership on the weekends. It closed in 1923 after the United States had a recession. Dan was great, provided a nice overview on the National Heritage Area and connected it to certain parts of the community, and of course, Martin Van Buren. When we got to our turnaround point, I forgot to mention it was a 12-mile trip. We did 6 miles one way from North Chatham to Kinderhook and then back. I was actually able to get the mayor of Kinderhook, the village, to come out, Doreen Weir, and she gave us a welcome and then told us a little bit about the history of the village of Kinderhook, which was awesome. At the turnaround point, we were also at Sam Scott's Garden Market, so people had the opportunity to grab something to eat, grab something to drink, and just kind of rest for a moment as well. So as you can see in the pictures, this is in the trolley depot. That is the ticket booth. I don't know if it's the original one. I don't know if anybody else heard if it was the original one or not. And then that was one of the style phones that they had back in the day, and then there's a group photo of the lecture inside that the North Chatham Historical Society gave. But with that said, that's all I had. If there's any questions on the event, I'll take them now.
I have a comment, only
Yeah.
that the Harlem Valley Rail Trail, which is still in design phase in Columbia County, would go up through Kinderhook into Chatham, and the idea is to connect into the Albany Electric Trail, and then be able to get your connection from New York City, Metro North in Wassaic, going all the way up, coming back down on the Empire State Trail to be able to get to the city of Hudson's Amtrak line, so you could actually have connections on both sides, but with bicycles, trains, and into the city. So this is very much a corridor, still in planning, not yet even funded for implementation, but planning for design.
Yes, I've looked at the connections of the old rail corridors and old rail beds that do connect the two trails, and thank you for filling me in, because I was pretty curious on where we stood with that, but I can imagine it's a huge undertaking. Any other questions, comments? All right, so I'm going to leave it off there, and then Meg's going to take over, and we'll move on with the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. You generated a lot of interest. Sure. One thing I wanted to mention before I call the next meeting to order is that we're going to start having meetings in different locations along the Greenway, both north and south, and on the other side of the river, Chris, too. So that's great what you're doing, by the way. That's wonderful to hear. So obviously, if you have venues you think we should be participating in, we've had some wonderful meetings at places like Boscobel.
Hey, we'd love to have you back.
All right, well, I'm sure we'll be back. But feel free to, and those online too, feel free to make suggestions to us. Okay, and I want to officially call the Hudson River Valley Greenway Community Council to order, and Andy will tell us about the grants.
So first I'm going to put the PowerPoint away. Did I stop sharing? Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the Community Compact grants. Dan Jeanson is the project manager for that, back in the corner. So Dan, thank you for your work on that. We love to have folks call up Dan and chat about their projects and move forward. So the Village of Briarcliff Manor, Westchester County, for a comprehensive plan update for $20,000.
Yes, thank you very much. We are located in Westchester, as you had said. This isn't our first go-around. We've received funding in the past for the other grant for trails. We actually recently completed a trail connector for the North County, now Empire State Trail, to our downtown. But we haven't done an update since 2007. There's a number of areas that need to be incorporated into our comprehensive plan. We also have some big things going on in our little village. We have some new development potentially in our downtown specifically. right across from Village Hall. There's a property that the village purchased about 2 years ago and is looking to do a public-private partnership and develop some multifamily housing, and additionally, but more importantly, used for some government services that need to be expanded upon that are underwhelming, to say the least, in our police and court. So we're very much looking forward to working on this project, and the money goes a long way. And I was talking with the chair before. We like to get things done in Briarcliff, so we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next, I'd like to recognize the Village of Millerton, Dutchess County, the Century Boulevard redevelopment for $7,500.
The Village of Millerton is very happy to receive this grant award. It allows us to proceed on a project that was initially identified through a pedestrian plan program that we did with Dutchess County's Transportation Council. And the funding will go forward through our planning and design project to revitalize this section of the village. It's a busy village street, and make it a complete street where it has no sidewalks at this time, and will be able to accommodate both village traffic and pedestrians. Thank you.
In the town of Greenville in Greene County, Comprehensive Plan Update Project. We love to see update projects on comprehensive plans. It means you're paying attention. It's good stuff. So $8,000. Anybody from Greene County? Okay. Moving on to the town of Kinderhook, Columbia County, Comprehensive Plan Update for 2024-2025, $10,000.
Hi, first of all, I'd like to thank the council for giving us the money. My name is Sally Naramore. I just got on the town of Kinderhook board. We have, as you just saw from the ramble, that's my town that they went through, and there's a lot of changes happening. We have issues on housing, we have issues for recreation, and we also have issues about environmental. So it seemed imperative to update a plan that actually is about 15 years old. So we got together, and thanks to this grant, we were able to hire a professional consultant, and we're in phase 1, which is to gather the data we need from our different constituencies. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just wanted to note one last thing. All of your projects are missed because last year we were able to receive an increase in our state allocation for grant programs. That's 100% that goes back into the community. They doubled our program. So please do come to us with new project requests, but know that your work is being recognized at every level. And congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Okay, before I make a call for a motion, Beth, I just want to say I'm going to recuse myself from the Millerton one. So can I have a call for a motion to adopt the Greenway Community Council's grants? Bob? All right, second there. Great. And all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It passes, thank you. All right, we're going to transition now to the National Heritage Area.
Happy to call that meeting to order and turn things over to Beth, who's going to give us an update on the ramble. That's my turn anyway, or Andy.
I did have one slide, if it's not available, that's okay. Just wanted to update you on the 2024 Hudson River Valley Ramble, which spanned the month of September. Hiking, biking, paddling, historic site tours. I want to recognize our partners, New York State Parks and of course New York State EDC, especially the estuary program, for helping us with events and funding, and also recognize Cody Arana, of course, for his staff, who did the lion's share of the outreach to our partners, and also organized our first AHEC ride. This year, we had 176 events. We may have had a couple of cancellations, but really overall, the weather in September was very amenable to our task there. And we also had more than 100 partner organizations. We saw a real increase on the railroad website. We offered an ad about the ramble, and it was really very successful. Our click-through rate was 0.28%. So people that saw the ad clicked through online, and they told us their average is 0.0%. So this is way above that. They were really thrilled with us. And our website attribution, which means someone saw the ad, didn't go at that time, back later, was 29, and they told us their average is about 5. So just all that to say that the Ramble is really showing that it is of great interest to people in the Hudson Valley and beyond, that the work that everyone does to educate and get people out there on the trails and on the river is having an impact and having an effect. So thank you to everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Beth. And now I want to turn it over to Dan, who's going to give us a quick update on the sponsorship program and the mobile app.
I'll pull up Dan's. Do you want to? Sure.
Do the mobile app first. If anybody doesn't know the Hudson Train Tour app, it's an interactive app that you can use on the train line between New York and Albany. It works with your GPS, and it populates sites of interest as you're riding along the route. Over last winter, we decided to put in some new audio on the Revolutionary War. We focused on lesser-known stories, stories about enslaved people, stories about food, stories about women. We didn't just want stories about, battles. I feel like those are kind of overplayed. So I wanted to play the first minute or so of the audio on food. It was narrated by Lavada Nahone. She's an interpretive site interpreter at New York State Parks. Can you hear me? Okay. We'll play about the first minute.
Culinary history is one of the easiest ways to step into any time period, any culture, any part of human history. Just follow the food. Lavada Nahone is an interpreter of African American history for the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. She's a culinary and cultural historian focusing on early New York State history, including the Revolutionary War period. Lavada tells us that before the war, people living in the Hudson River Valley generated enough food. Coming from Albany all the way down Hudson for the dollar. People were growing food, people were preserving food, people were exporting food, people were enjoying the food around them. On every level, the colonists never had an issue of no food.
So I just wanted to give a little taste. Most of the audio are about 4 to 6 minutes long. They pop up as you're passing a site of interest. This one pops up south of Albany. So if you're interested, download the app. I just wanted to say that over last year, with the new stories, usage of the app is up 35% over last year. So I'm really excited about that. Most of the traffic is in this new audio tour. Most of the users are from New York City and the Hudson Valley, but we do have users from 40 states and 15 countries. So really happy about that. That's all I have for the audio.
All right, Andy's going to give us his first executive director report.
Uh-oh. We'll do it the old-fashioned way here. There we go. So my report. So I'd like to, first of all, I'd just like to thank the staff. You guys have been wonderful over the last 4 months, putting up with me, all my questions, all my mistakes, helping me understand and learn. I walked in here this morning and the place was set up and ready to go. So you guys have been great. I look forward to continuing to work with you, and I couldn't ask for a better group of people to be around. So thank you for your warm welcome.
Just wanted to share a screen.
Yep. Technology, and one of the things that I've said to my staff, and they're learning this quickly, is that technology is my Achilles heel. I do not do technology well. Doesn't matter if it's figuring out a login or whatever.
Where is it?
It's right. It's on the PowerPoint.
Come on up, Beth. Help us out.
Feedback is awful.
Jack, you're on, but I know what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so, no, what this? And now I want to do view, slideshow.
Just like that.
Okay, let's do it this way.
You don't have to get it into the whole thing. I'll just click through it like this. It'll be okay. So that was my thank you to the staff. And they continue to support me. So as Kevin mentioned, we're in a new era. And it's not necessarily a new era. It's looking forward. You guys have done tremendous work over the last 30 plus years. The Empire State Trail, the grants programs, the Ramble, it goes on, and there's plenty to build on. And so our strategic plan that you guys completed, I think it wrapped up in 2019, is ready to be revisited. So we'll start to look into that process over the coming couple of months. We'll be exploring for consultants. So after the meeting, if anyone knows of a consultant out there that does strategic planning, please let me know. We do have a couple of recommendations in place already. And so we'll continue to look at that. And then in the first of the year, we'll really start to populate what will be a collaborative process involving staff, involving the people around the table, involving our communities, our political leaders, to get a good sense of where we would like to go in the future and what our future would like to look like, and how can we raise awareness for the Greenway. So good things to come in 2025 around that. To start to build on that process, we did a staff retreat, and I just wanted to call out that we did this at the Thomas Cole National Historical Site. I don't think that Betsy Jacks is here, but I also want to just recognize that she just opened her visitor center after several years of hard work in collaboration with New York State and many others to open their Welcome Center and take them into a new era. So thank you, Betsy, on that. And we spent our time there. I also wanted to note that we'll be here in December. That's Monday, the 9th. They're not open to the public on Monday, the 9th. And so we've made a little adjustment there to account so that we have the place to ourselves. So the things that we talked about, the Greenway and National Heritage Area grants programs. We have 3 major grant program opportunities. This is an excellent time to start to look at when we offer the grants during the year, what are the priorities, what have we accomplished, and where would we like to see these grant programs go? And I think we made really good progress on that. Dan, I don't think mentioned, but we did, or maybe I mentioned it earlier, we did increase our award ceilings for the council program to try to generate more interest, to be more, to make a bigger difference in those grants in terms of the dollars, to recognize that costs are increasing. So thank you, Dan, for that. And then we'll be holding a grants committee meeting later this year to talk about these in more detail and start to solidify some of the changes that we'd like to make in 2025. And really just looking at 2025, the strategic planning would then guide the longer vision. We talked a lot about community engagement and outreach, and I was talking this morning with Stefan about the visibility of the Greenway and making sure people know who we are. Communications is key. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. It's not a cliche, it's true. Making sure that we are at events, that we're out in the community, that we're meeting the public, that we're talking to all of you, and that we're bringing people together. That's how we start to build energy around the Greenway, around the value of our work, and what we can bring to the community. So we'll be talking more about that as a staff, and I'm hoping that that's a major part of our strategic planning conversation as well. We talked a lot about the Albany Hudson Electric Trail. We manage that trail. It's 36 miles. It's a huge asset. It's also got huge challenges. So, how do we make sure that we are good stewards over the next many years that we'll be managing that project, that we're involved with that, and that we're continuing to ensure that that is a good program without letting it subsume our work outside of that 36-mile area. We can't lose our focus that we have miles and miles and miles of trails and trails that need to be connected. And then finally, it was just a chance for team building. I'm the first executive director who's come in from outside of the organization in a very long time. I think it was just an excellent opportunity just to laugh, to make some jokes, tease each other a little bit, and have good conversation and start to build a team and a group. So thank you all for that. I'm going to talk about one more item with 2 parts to it. So World Canals Conference. And this is actually my hat from my prior organization. I was the project manager for World Canals Conference in Buffalo. It's coming to Buffalo in 2025. There's a card out there. I'm making an unabashed pitch for the World Canals Conference in Buffalo 2025. It's managed by the Inland Waterways International, which is a group of waterways people from around the world: China, Italy, Poland, Japan, everywhere. They met recently in Bydgoszcz, Poland. I had the opportunity to go to represent our organization, represent New York State, along with my colleagues from New York State Canal Corporation, ESD, and others, to make sure that the world knows that we have awesome waterways here. And you can see in Bydgoszcz here, the picture on the right, they really are embracing the idea of waterways as economic generators for community revival. Bydgoszcz is a pretty tough community to walk around in. This area is recently reestablished. They've done historic preservation, waterway enhancements. They've brought in all kinds of different opportunities that we got to learn about. The statue on the wire is an international traveling exhibition that's next going to Paris. These things were all over the city. They were really cool. And there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from that. So lots of opportunities for waterways, our Hudson River. And then finally, as part of this, and somebody asked me about this earlier today, 2025 is the 200th anniversary of the opening of the Erie Canal. And we have the Hudson River, but we also have the Erie Canal in Albany and Saratoga counties, the village of Waterford, the town of Waterford, as well as the Hudson River, because people forget that the canal is only part of the story. The Hudson is the connector to New York City, and that'll be celebrated next year. There's a bicentennial commission that the governor just announced. The first gentleman is a co-chair, along with Brian Stratton, the director of the Canal Corporation, and then also, I can't see my notes here, ESD, OPRHP, and, darn it, there's one more state agency. Anyway, it's the commissioners of those. So they're bringing a very high-profile approach to this. And one of the advantages that we have is this boat is going to go from Buffalo next September all the way across upstate New York, down the Hudson River to New York City. You can see the communities that it's going to stop in. Each of these stops are 2 to 3 days. There will be community events at each stop. There will be opportunities to meet the boat crew. There will be interpretation. There's a member of the Tuscarora tribe who's going to be on the vessel to talk about the relationship between the name and the indigenous communities. And then it's going to end in New York City with a major celebration with that bicentennial commission replicating what was an event that happened 200 years ago. So lots happening, lots of relevance for us, lots of connections to waterways, lots of connections to community building. So that ends my first executive director report, and I will turn it back over to Kevin or Meg, I'm not sure which. Thank you.
All right, any other old business that anyone has? No? And new business. Anything else? Okay. Then, anyone else from the public who has anything to say? We really appreciate your all coming. It's great to see. Okay, so, should I make a motion to?
This
Yes.
is Jennifer. Could I share some Boscoville news?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to mention, since it happened just before the last Greenway meeting, that Boscoville is still recovering from the ceiling collapse that happened in April. And we're doing so with lots of help from various Greenway connections. We just had a fabulous Meadow Symposium this past Sunday that included a speaker recommended by Thomas Cole, and that was Professor Stevens, who is a member of the Mohawk tribe, as well as the head of the Indigenous Studies Department at Syracuse University, talking about the balance of meadows and native plants and rebalancing nature in our world and our approach to nature. That was attended by about 80 people from Albany all the way down to Long Island, and included sites all across Putnam County. We're really embracing landscape, while the indoors is off limits to us at the Historic House Museum. And that, I wanted just to mention that includes a farm panel discussion. There's a fabulous new book out called Back to the Land by photographer Peter Esterson, really highlighting more than 30 farms in the Hudson Valley, including the organic farm that Boscoville hosts that grows organic produce for local food pantries. That is on November 9th, that panel discussion, and it's moderated by Meg Downey. So thank you so much, Meg, who edited the book. And I want to call out specifically the Greater Hudson Heritage Network, Priscilla Brendler and her team. They came in with capes and gloves and masks and special vacuums, muscle and brains and expertise to really help Boscoville put back together what is a major disaster for us. And then they came back with museum professionals from all across New York to learn from our disaster. And so I'm so grateful for all of the connections that we get to foster and deepen here at the Greenway, and look forward to seeing you all at Boscoville for all the things that are going really, really well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. And we really hope part of our discussion of strategic planning is how to bring agriculture back in, which is part of our mission. How do we help preserve agriculture in the Hudson Valley? So that's great. So thank you. So thanks to everyone for attending. Is there a motion to adjourn? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, can we go out that door, or do we need to go around? Go right here? Okay, all right, so I'll try again, one more. Everybody has to go outside, though. A motion to adjourn?
I'll make.
Okay. Did you get that? And second? All in favor? Aye. All right. I don't think anyone's opposed. See you later.
Recording stopped.